Did you know some of the biggest stars were banned from The Ed Sullivan Show? Today, we'll dive into the reasons behind these bans. We'll explore the history and background of the iconic show, along with other celebrities who ended up on the banned list not because of Ed Sullivan.
Your impression was very, very bad.
Thank you very much. Just go right ahead.
Could I do an imitation?
Imitation.
I'd like to do one of Cary Grant.
Cary Grant, here he goes.
From controversial performances to personal conflicts, find out what led to these dramatic moments. Join us as we uncover the surprising stories behind the scenes of this legendary TV show. What is The Ed Sullivan Show? The origins of The Ed Sullivan Show. In the early days of television, a show premiered that would become an American cultural phenomenon, The Ed Sullivan Show. This iconic variety show first aired on June 20, 1948, on CBS. Initially titled Toast of the Town, it wasn't until 1955 that it adopted the name that would become legendary. At the helm of this groundbreaking program was Ed Sullivan, a New York entertainment columnist known for his unique, if somewhat awkward, presentation style. Despite his on-camera stiffness, Sullivan's genuine passion for entertainment and his uncanny ability to spot talent made the show a resounding success. The format and production. The format of The Ed Sullivan Show was both simple and effective. Each episode was a mix of comedy, music, dance, and novelty acts, creating a variety that appealed to a broad audience. Airing every Sunday night at 8 p.m., the show quickly became a staple in American households. It was filmed at CBS TV Studio 50 in New York City, which was later renamed the Ed Sullivan Theater in his honor. Sullivan's straightforward introductions and the eclectic mix of performers became the show's trademark. Over its 23-year run, the show aired a staggering 1,068 episodes. The longevity and popularity of the show were testaments to Sullivan's ability to adapt to changing times and tastes in entertainment. He managed to keep the show relevant by continuously featuring contemporary and groundbreaking acts alongside traditional performances, making it a must-watch program every week. A platform for diverse talent. One of the defining features of The Ed Sullivan Show was its diverse range of performers. Sullivan had a keen eye for talent and a willingness to showcase artists from various backgrounds and genres. This approach not only attracted a wide audience, but also provided a national platform for many artists who would go on to become major stars. From emerging talents to established acts, Sullivan's stage was a launching pad for countless careers. Cultural impact. The cultural impact of The Ed Sullivan Show cannot be overstated. It played a significant role in shaping American popular culture and the entertainment industry. The show provided national exposure for many artists, influencing music, comedy, and performance art. Its ability to draw viewers from all demographics made it a unifying force in American television, bringing families together in front of their TV sets every Sunday night. The Ed Sullivan Show's notable performances and guests. Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley's appearances on The Ed Sullivan Show were nothing short of legendary. His debut on September 9, 1956, drew an unprecedented audience of over 60 million viewers. This appearance, which featured hits like Don't Be Cruel, Love Me Tender, and Hound Dog, skyrocketed Elvis to national fame. His second appearance on October 28, 1956, continued to captivate audiences. By the time of his third and final appearance on January 6, 1957, Sullivan's show had set a precedent by showing Elvis only from the waist up due to concerns over his suggestive dance moves. These performances were pivotal in cementing Elvis as the king of rock and roll. The Beatles. The Beatles' debut on The Ed Sullivan Show on February 9, 1964, marked a watershed moment in music history. That night, 73 million Americans tuned in to watch John, Paul, George, and Ringo perform hits like All My Loving, Till There Was You, She Loves You, I Saw Her Standing There, and I Want to Hold Your Hand. Their youthful energy and catchy tunes sparked the British invasion and transformed the American music scene. The Beatles' subsequent appearances on February 16th and February 23rd, 1964, only deepened their impact, making them a household name across the United States. The Supremes. The Supremes, Motown's premier girl group, graced the Ed Sullivan Show multiple times throughout the 1960s. Their debut on December 27, 1964, featured the hit Come See About Me, showcasing their smooth harmonies and stylish presentation. Over the years, performances of songs like You Can't Hurry Love solidified their status as pop icons. The Supremes' appearances were significant in promoting Motown music to a wider audience, helping to break racial barriers and establish Motown as a dominant force in the music industry. The Jackson 5. The Jackson 5, led by a young Michael Jackson, made a memorable debut on The Ed Sullivan Show on December 14, 1969. Their energetic performance of I Want You Back highlighted Michael's charisma and the group's dynamic stage presence. This appearance launched their career into the stratosphere, making the Jackson 5 one of the most popular groups of the time. Subsequent performances only bolstered their fame, with Michael Jackson eventually becoming one of the most influential entertainers in history. The Rolling Stones. The Rolling Stones brought a different kind of energy to the Ed Sullivan Show when they first appeared on October 25, 1964. Performing songs like Time Is On My Side and later Satisfaction, the Stones' raw and rebellious style provided a stark contrast to the more polished acts typically featured on the show. Their multiple appearances throughout the 1960s mirrored the evolving landscape of rock music and youth culture, solidifying their reputation as rock icons. Barbra Streisand. Barbra Streisand's early appearances on The Ed Sullivan Show in 1963 were a showcase of her exceptional vocal talent and distinctive style. Songs like People and Happy Days Are Here Again not only wowed audiences, but also garnered critical acclaim. These performances were instrumental in launching Streisand's illustrious career, establishing her as one of the most versatile and celebrated entertainers of her generation. Broadway acts. The Ed Sullivan Show wasn't just any TV variety show, it was a cultural powerhouse that brought the arts into American homes. Ed Sullivan, the show's iconic host, had a particular passion for Broadway. He recognized the value of live theater and wanted to share its magic with a broader audience. This vision led to numerous Broadway performances being featured on his show, providing millions of viewers with a glimpse of the best of New York City's theater scene. West Side Story. One of the most memorable Broadway performances on The Ed Sullivan Show was from the groundbreaking musical West Side Story. In 1957, the cast performed the Jet Song, a powerful and dynamic number choreographed by Jerome Robbins and set to the unforgettable music of Leonard Bernstein. This performance not only introduced television audiences to the intense energy and innovative choreography of the show, but also highlighted its significant cultural impact. West Side Story addressed complex social issues through its story of rival gangs in New York City, making it a poignant and influential piece of theater. My Fair Lady. The year before West Side Story, viewers of The Ed Sullivan Show were treated to scenes from My Fair Lady. This musical, based on George Bernard Shaw's play Pygmalion, featured Julie Andrews as Eliza Doolittle and Rex Harrison as Professor Henry Higgins. Their performances on the show captivated audiences, showcasing the musical's charm and wit. My Fair Lady was already a hit on Broadway, but its appearance on Ed Sullivan's show helped solidify its status as a cultural phenomenon. Julie Andrews' portrayal of Eliza Doolittle became legendary, and her appearance on the show played a significant role in her rise to stardom. Hello, Dolly! In 1964, Carol Channing brought the exuberance of Hello, Dolly to The Ed Sullivan Show on multiple occasions. Her spirited performances of numbers like Before the Parade Passes By and the title song, Hello, Dolly, were instrumental in the musical's enduring popularity. Channing's unique charisma and comedic talent shone brightly, making her a beloved figure to television audiences. Her appearances on the show not only boosted ticket sales for Hello, Dolly, but also made the songs from the musical familiar to people across the country. Camelot. The grandeur and romanticism of Camelot were brought to life on The Ed Sullivan Show in 1960. Featuring an impressive cast that included Richard Burton, Julie Andrews, and Robert Goulet, the show's scenes captured the essence of this Lerner and Loewe classic. Richard Burton's commanding presence as King Arthur and Julie Andrews' enchanting portrayal of Queen Guinevere mesmerized viewers. Robert Goulet's performance of If Ever I Would Leave You became a highlight, showcasing his powerful voice and emotional depth. The show's broadcast allowed millions to experience the magic of Camelot without having to travel to Broadway. Man of La Mancha. In 1965, The Ed Sullivan Show featured Richard Kiley's unforgettable performance of The Impossible Dream from Man of La Mancha. This moment became one of the defining highlights of the show. Kiley's portrayal of Don Quixote, with his stirring rendition of the song, encapsulated the spirit of determination and idealism central to the character. The emotional impact of this performance resonated deeply with audiences, leaving a lasting impression. The Impossible Dream became synonymous with the show's ability to convey powerful and moving performances to a national audience. Impact on Broadway. The inclusion of Broadway performances on The Ed Sullivan Show had a profound impact on the theater industry. The show's national exposure played a critical role in boosting ticket sales for featured productions. For many viewers who couldn't attend live performances in New York City, seeing excerpts on television was the next best thing. This exposure not only attracted tourists and theatergoers to Broadway, but also embedded these musicals into the cultural fabric of America. The show's influence extended beyond just ticket sales. It helped to launch and solidify the careers of Broadway stars. Performers like Julie Andrews, Carol Channing, and Richard Kiley became household names partly due to their visibility on The Ed Sullivan Show. The program provided a platform for these actors to showcase their talents to a wider audience, enhancing their popularity and opening up new opportunities for them in the entertainment industry. Additionally, the show's broad reach helped to make Broadway musicals a part of American culture. Songs and scenes from these performances became well known, even to those who had never attended a live theater production. This cultural permeation contributed to the lasting legacy of these musicals and solidified their place in the American artistic landscape. Celebrities who are banned by Ed Sullivan. The Doors. The Doors, one of the most iconic rock bands of the 1960s, were formed in Los Angeles in 1965. The band comprised 4 talented musicians: Jim Morrison on vocals, Ray Manzarek on keyboard, Robbie Krieger on guitar, and John Densmore on drums. They quickly became known for their unique sound, a blend of rock, blues, and psychedelia, which set them apart in the rapidly evolving music scene of the time. Jim Morrison, born on December 8, 1943 in Melbourne, Florida, became the charismatic and controversial frontman of The Doors. With his deep, expressive voice and poetic lyrics, Morrison captured the essence of the counterculture movement. His stage presence was electric, often bordering on the theatrical, and he became a symbol of the rebellious spirit of the 1960s. Morrison's antics both on and off stage drew significant attention, further cementing the Doors' place in rock history. Ray Manzarek, born on February 12, 1939 in Chicago, Illinois, was the keyboardist whose classical and jazz influences were pivotal in shaping the Doors' sound. Manzarek's innovative use of the keyboard provided a distinctive musical backdrop that complemented Morrison's vocals. Robbie Krieger, born on January 8, 1946 in Los Angeles, was not only a skilled guitarist, but also a key songwriter for the band. His contributions included the famous hit Light My Fire. John Densmore, born on December 1, 1944 in Los Angeles, anchored the band's sound with his dynamic drumming. The Doors' self-titled debut album, released in 1967, was a massive commercial success, reaching number 2 on the Billboard 200 chart. The breakthrough single Light My Fire topped the charts and established the Doors as a major force in rock music. They followed this success with albums like Strange Days in 1967, Waiting for the Sun in 1968, and The Soft Parade in 1969, each contributing to their legacy with hits and experimental tracks. However, the Doors were not without controversy. One of the most significant incidents occurred on September 17, 1967, when they were scheduled to perform on The Ed Sullivan Show. The show's producers requested that the band alter the lyrics of Light My Fire from Girl, We Couldn't Get Much Higher to Girl, We Couldn't Get Much Better, concerned that the original lyrics were too suggestive for a family audience. Initially, Jim Morrison agreed to the change, but during the live broadcast, he defiantly sang the original lyrics. This act of rebellion did not sit well with Ed Sullivan or the show's producers. As a result, the Doors were banned from ever appearing on The Ed Sullivan Show again. This incident became a defining moment in the band's career, epitomizing their rebellious image and their unwillingness to conform to societal norms. Despite the ban and the controversies that followed, the Doors continued to produce successful albums. However, the later years of the band were marred by Morrison's increasing alcohol and drug abuse. His erratic behavior and deteriorating health began to impact his performance and the band's dynamic. Albums like Morrison Hotel in 1970 and L.A. Woman in 1971 still showcased their musical prowess, but the shadow of Morrison's struggles loomed large. Tragically, Jim Morrison's lifestyle caught up with him, and on July 3, 1971, he was found dead in his Paris apartment at the age of 27. His death marked the end of an era for the Doors. Although the remaining members attempted to carry on without him, Morrison's absence was a void that could not be filled. The Doors' legacy, however, remains intact, with their music continuing to inspire and influence generations of musicians and fans. Jackie Mason. Jackie Mason, born Yakov Moshe Maza on June 9, 1928 in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, came from a deeply religious family of Orthodox rabbis. Raised in Manhattan's Lower East Side, Mason's early life was steeped in tradition and faith. His father, an immigrant from Belarus, expected Mason to follow in his footsteps. Indeed, Mason was ordained as a rabbi and served in Pennsylvania. However, after his father's death in the late 1950s, Mason made a dramatic career shift from the pulpit to the stage, pursuing his passion for comedy. Mason's early foray into comedy began in the Catskills, a well-known breeding ground for Jewish comedians. Despite his enthusiasm, his initial performances were not well received. In 1955, Mason was fired from his job at the Fieldston Hotel in Swan Lake, New York, due to the audience's inability to connect with his humor. However, Mason's perseverance paid off, and by the 1960s, he was making regular television appearances on popular shows like The Steve Allen Show and The Perry Como Show. These opportunities marked the beginning of his rise to fame. One of the most notable and controversial moments in Mason's career occurred on The Ed Sullivan Show in 1964. On October 18th, during a live broadcast, Mason's performance took an unexpected turn. Ed Sullivan, the host, attempted to signal Mason to wrap up his act. In a mix-up, Sullivan misinterpreted one of Mason's gestures as an obscene middle finger. The incident outraged Sullivan, leading him to cancel Mason's contract for 6 future appearances, effectively banning him from the show. This incident had a significant impact on Mason's career. Being banned from The Ed Sullivan Show was a major setback, as the show was a crucial platform for entertainers at the time. Mason's reputation took a hit, and he was labeled as volatile and obscene, making it challenging to secure television work for many years. Mason filed a $3 million libel suit against Sullivan, claiming defamation. While the case was largely dismissed, the controversy lingered. Despite the setback, Mason continued to work on his craft. In the late 1970s and 1980s, he experienced a resurgence. In 1979, he appeared in the hit film The Jerk, which helped revitalize his career. His big break came in 1986 with his one-man Broadway show, The World According to Me. The show was a critical and commercial success, running for over 2 years. It earned Mason numerous accolades, including a Tony Award, an Outer Critics Circle Award, an Ace Award, and an Emmy Award. Mason's distinctive comedic style, characterized by rapid delivery, Yiddish-inflected speech, and sharp political and social commentary, continued to endear him to audiences. He found success in television and film throughout the 1990s and 2000s, including voice roles on The Simpsons and hosting his own talk shows. Mason also authored several books, further cementing his legacy in the comedy world. Jackie Mason remained a prominent figure in comedy until his death on July 24, 2021. His journey from a rabbi to a renowned comedian is a testament to his resilience and talent. Despite the challenges he faced, including the infamous ban from The Ed Sullivan Show, Mason managed to carve out a lasting legacy. His career is a vivid reminder of the highs and lows that often accompany the pursuit of one's passion. Bo Diddley. Bo Diddley, born Ellis Otha Bates on December 30, 1928 in Macomb, Mississippi, was a significant figure in the evolution of rock and roll music. Adopted and later taking the name Ellis McDaniel, he relocated with his family to Chicago, where his musical journey truly began. Initially trained in classical violin, Diddley shifted to the guitar, forming his first band, the Hipsters, which later became known as the Langley Avenue Jive Cats. This transition marked the beginning of a groundbreaking career that would leave an indelible mark on the music industry. Diddley's first major breakthrough came in 1955 with the release of his debut single Bo Diddley, I'm a Man on Checker Records. This single quickly topped the R&B charts and introduced his distinctive Bo Diddley beat, a syncopated rhythm that would become a staple in rock music. His self-titled debut album, released in 1958, further solidified his influence, showcasing his innovative approach to music and his charismatic stage presence. Throughout his career, Bo Diddley was known for pushing boundaries and challenging norms. He was one of the first major artists to include women in his band, such as guitarist Lady Bo, at a time when such inclusivity was rare. His use of reverb, tremolo, and other effects on his guitar set him apart from his contemporaries and influenced countless musicians, including iconic bands like the Rolling Stones and the Beatles. His bold style and sound contributed significantly to the shaping of rock and roll, making him a true pioneer in the genre. Despite his groundbreaking contributions, Diddley faced significant challenges, particularly in securing fair royalties for his work. He frequently spoke out against the racism and exploitation prevalent in the music industry, which often deprived him of due compensation during the peak of his career. Nonetheless, he continued to perform and tour, maintaining a vibrant presence in the music scene. Over the years, he collaborated with numerous notable acts, including opening for the Grateful Dead and performing with The Clash, showcasing his enduring appeal and versatility as an artist. Bo Diddley's contributions to music did not go unrecognized. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1987 and received a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award in 1998. His influence was further acknowledged with a posthumous induction into the Mississippi Musicians Hall of Fame. These honors reflect his significant impact on the music world and his role as a trailblazer in rock and roll. A notable chapter in Diddley's career was his controversial appearance on The Ed Sullivan Show in 1955. During his debut on the show, he was asked to perform Tennessee Ernie Ford's 16 Tons. Instead, Diddley played his own hit, Bo Diddley. This act of defiance did not sit well with Ed Sullivan, leading to Diddley's ban from future appearances on the show. This incident highlighted the tensions between artistic freedom and media control during that era, showcasing Diddley's commitment to his artistic integrity. Bo Diddley's legacy as a trailblazer in rock and roll is enduring. He passed away on June 2, 2008 in Archer, Florida, at the age of 79, leaving behind a rich legacy of musical innovation and influence. His pioneering work continues to inspire new generations of musicians and music lovers around the world, ensuring that his contributions to the music industry are remembered and celebrated for years to come. Other celebrities who dropped out of the show themselves. Buddy Holly and the Crickets. Buddy Holly, born Charles Hardin Holly on September 7, 1936 in Lubbock, Texas, was a revolutionary figure in the early days of rock and roll. His career began in the early 1950s, and he quickly became known for his unique voice and groundbreaking guitar techniques. Holly's band, the Crickets, achieved widespread popularity with hits such as That'll Be the Day and Peggy Sue, cementing their place in rock and roll history. The Crickets made their debut on The Ed Sullivan Show in 1957, and the performance was a success, showcasing Holly's charisma and musical talent to a national audience. Their second appearance on January 26, 1958, however, became infamous for the controversy that ensued. They were scheduled to perform 2 songs, including Oh Boy. But Ed Sullivan found the song too lively and requested a change. Holly, standing firm in his artistic vision, refused Sullivan's request, insisting on performing the planned song. The tension between Holly and Sullivan escalated during rehearsals when Sullivan accused the Crickets of lacking enthusiasm. Holly's sarcastic retort further irritated Sullivan. During the live performance, Sullivan attempted to sabotage Holly by mispronouncing his name and ensuring his guitar microphone was turned off. Despite these obstacles, Holly's performance was electrifying, winning over the audience and showcasing his resilience and talent. After the show, Sullivan invited Holly and the Crickets to return, but Holly declined, famously stating that Sullivan couldn't afford them. This incident marked the end of Holly's relationship with The Ed Sullivan Show, but it did nothing to diminish his influence on music. Holly continued to innovate and inspire future rock legends like the Beatles and Bob Dylan, until his untimely death in a plane crash on February 3, 1959. A day often referred to as the day the music died. Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan, born Robert Allen Zimmerman on May 24, 1941 in Duluth, Minnesota, emerged as one of the most influential musicians of the 20th century. Known for his poetic lyrics and profound social commentary, Dylan's career took off in the early 1960s. His early songs, such as Blowin' in the Wind and The Times They Are A-Changin', became anthems of the civil rights and anti-war movements, cementing his place as a voice for change. Dylan was scheduled to make his television debut on The Ed Sullivan Show on May 12, 1963. He planned to perform Talkin' John Birch Paranoid Blues, a satirical song that critiqued the paranoia of right-wing extremism. CBS executives, concerned about the song's controversial content, pressured Dylan to choose a different song. Dylan, unwavering in his commitment to his art and message, refused to alter his performance. Faced with censorship, Dylan walked out of the show, deciding to forego his television debut rather than compromise his artistic integrity. Dylan's refusal to censor his work and his subsequent ban from The Ed Sullivan Show exemplified the tension between artistic freedom and network censorship prevalent in the early days of television. Despite this setback, Dylan's career continued to soar. His music evolved over the decades, influencing countless artists and shaping the landscape of popular music. Dylan's defiance on The Ed Sullivan Show became a defining moment in his career, reinforcing his reputation as a fearless artist committed to his principles.